Hey there guys, alright, today we are back with some OSP, but this time, been a while since we watched a History Summarize video, thought I'd come back with it. So this time, we're watching Pope fights. Don't need anything more, let's go ahead and dive right in.
When you look at a pope like our boy Francis, you might reasonably think that being a good person is a prerequisite for being the holiest guy in Christendom. You might imagine that the Pontifex Maximus would never be the type of person to leverage their divine responsibility for such earthly trifles as material gain or political expediency. Well, to that, I say that you have clearly never seen a good old-fashioned pope fight. Pope fight? Yes, pope fight. So, for the next 9 minutes, allow me to take you back in time to a simpler time, when the Western Roman Empire had disintegrated and the land around the city of Rome itself was governed by the only guy in town who had any semblance of power, the Pope. For over 1,000 years,
ain't no authority like spiritual temporal authority, because spiritual temporal authority means I have control of literally everything. Woo!
The Papal States ruled over the center of Italy while overseeing the religious life of all of Europe. While today's Pope is almost
Jesus, eternal life, yada yada, now by more indulgences already.
Solely a spiritual leader, the medieval popes were functionally kings, and boy did they...
Well, technically, actually, since we watched CGP Grey a few months ago, we know that the Pope is also the king of the Vatican. Technically, he's still a king.
Act like it. With the stage set, let's go down to the ring for tonight's first Pope fight!
Woo!
In one corner, he's lean, he's mean, he's 20 years old and became Pope.
20-year-old Pope, what the fuck?
Through bribery and nepotism, it's Benedict IX!
Woo!
And in the other corner we have... Wait a minute. Why are there 3 popes here? Who approved this schedule? You know what? Okay, whatever.
Oh, are we going to
Benedict
this?
here didn't actually care
yeah.
about doing all of that complicated Jesus stuff.
I've been drinking wine and eating from this gigantic case of vanilla wafers for 3 days straight, and for some reason the Cardinals are all mad at me now.
And he used the office to enrich his already monstrously wealthy family. 8 years later, and the Cardinals decided that they didn't want a greedy toddler for a leader, and they got him out of office the same way
work
that
for
he got in.
snacking.
Bribery. A priest named Giovanni fought gangster with gangster and made Benedict an offer that he couldn't refuse. Basically, Benedict sold the papacy, and Giovanni became Pope Sylvester III. Okay, so that's a pretty sacrilegious thing to do, but at least we're done, right?
Yo, so Benedict is just wealthy and he just gets to chill forever now? He gets a job at the young age of 20, the most powerful job, and then like, what, 12 years later it said, in 32, he just retired. What the fuck?
Right? No. Time for round 2. So, 3 brief months later, Benedict
Turns out I like money. Go figure. Anyway, want the throne back now.
decided that he wanted to be Pope again because he had so much fun defrauding the people of Rome the first time. So he marched an army into the city
at the speed news travels this century, parts of Europe don't even know you left yet.
And declared himself as Pope again. But then, just a month after he handed the Cardinals a fresh new succession crisis, Benedict decided that he wanted out
now that I think about it, I want to get married. That's a long-term goal I can commit to.
Again, so he could get married. His godfather became Pope Gregory VI, and that's it. No? Okay, round 3.
It's not over.
It seems like beating dead horses was another one of Benedict's hobbies in addition to wholesale corruption.
Oh god, he came back yet?
So, Benedict's wife-to-be noped right on out of there, and he decided that
actually, yeah, my girlfriend told me that when she left. Anyway, Pope me, please.
he wanted to be Pope again.
What
Meanwhile,
the fuck,
poor
dude?
Sylvester is still out there sulking in the hills, so there are 3 people claiming to be Pope at once. To settle the matter, the Holy Roman Emperor, that is to say the German Emperor, rode into town and held a council, where he found Sylvester to have no legitimate claim, Benedict to not even slightly be worthy of being Pope, and Gregory guilty of simony. All 3 were tossed out, and a German bishop became Pope Clement II. But wait, there's more!
Oh, yay!
A year later, Clement II died, and who else but Benedict came strolling back to the Vatican for term number 3. 6 months later, however, the Holy Roman Emperor had just about had enough of the antics, so he swiftly excommunicated and exiled Benedict for good. One cardinal called him a demon.
Hey, Byzantines, you didn't by any chance see that whole mess transpire, did you?
From hell in disguise as a priest, which is pretty hardcore, especially for a priest. But honestly, to me, the
pretty metal if you ask me. Yeah, we've kind of been right here literally the entire time.
most shocking part is that he didn't try for a 4th time. Benedict definitely qualifies as a meme pope, words I never imagined saying back to back. Given this
hey look, it's been swell, but you guys clearly have a lot to sort out. We're gonna just do our own thing over here.
Colossal mess. It might be little surprise that the Greek Orthodox Church of the Byzantine Empire broke off from Catholicism for good just 6 years later. Well, there you have it, folks. The final score for our first Pope fight is Benedict 3, sticking to a decision for more than 20 minutes, 0. Okay, but now we're done. right?
No.
Oh boy, check the timestamp, kiddo. We're just getting started over here. So, let's move on to our next Pope fight this evening, and there's no one here. Well, see, to avoid the
Okay, this quasi-dynastic succession thing clearly isn't working
bribes,
out.
murders, and nepotism that had plagued the papacy for a few centuries in general, and the past few years in particular, they developed what we now know as the Papal Conclave, where popes are elected by secret ballot to ensure a peaceful
Voting? What millennium do you think this is? We're more than one metric Jesus away from the last time anyone in Europe voted on anything. I guess it can't be worse than Benedict the Ninth. Might as well.
transition of divine authority through what in theory would be a just and capable line of popes. So this worked out pretty well for a couple centuries, but in 1292, two warring factions of cardinals drew out the conclave from the usual couple weeks to 2 entire years. For 2 years, the Papal States were without its ruler, and Rome was a mess. In the confusion, a hermit monk wrote to the conclave, warning the cardinals that the almighty hand of God would dope smack the eternal salvation out of them if they kept screwing around all decade long. And as it happened, the cardinals were so impressed that they elected him pope, marking possibly the only instance in which anyone was hired by telling their interviewers to go to hell. I mean, hey, if it works, it works. So this monk becomes Pope
awesome.
Celestine
Okay, I'm gonna go
V,
pray now. Bye.
and he proceeds to do nothing. Yeah, honestly, he
Hey, Your Holiness, Rome is still in shambles. Will you govern, please? Nah, worldly matters are inconsequential.
was kind of a stooge. The only thing he ever really did in his first 5 months was help out the French allied king of Naples
Why on earth are you helping them? Yo, thanks for disproportionately increasing our influence in the church.
by appointing his mooks to church positions. Oh yeah, did I say first 5 months? I meant only 5 months.
Oh.
When it became
Okay, we honestly should have seen this coming, but this did not go to plan at all.
unavoidably clear that the ascetic monk that had no relevant experience in running a complex bureaucracy wasn't good at his job, he went to the cardinals. And they said, "What is your first decree?" And he said, "I want to be allowed to quit."
Yeah.
Alright, what's your second decree? I quit. And honestly, it makes sense. He never even wanted to be pope in the first place. He just wanted somebody to be pope to end the deadlock. But be careful what you wish for,
Oh, no,
because
not
Boniface
Boniface.
VIII became the next pope, and he wasted absolutely no time throwing Celestine in jail.
Oh.
Reason being that no one had ever voluntarily abdicated the papacy like that before, and Boniface had reason to believe that someone or another would challenge his authority and try to install Celestine back in as an anti-pope to oppose him. So the obvious solution was to cut out the middleman and just toss Celestine in prison. Boniface then
Maybe, yeah,
proceeded
sure.
to undo all 0 of Celestine's actions. He mainly just cleared away
But he
his
didn't do anything.
appointees and left only the very small clause about popes being able to retire. Whether Celestine
Right, good work. Next order of business, someone get that hack Dante from Florence to stop saying that I'm gonna burn hell upside down. Really hurts my feelings, you know?
died of straight-up murder, or just the fact that he was 81 years old and in prison, Boniface basically sentenced Celestine to death.
Holy
Although
shit.
honestly, when faced with the choice of being dead versus being pope, I'm pretty sure Celestine got what he would have preferred. Being pope is work. And at the end of the round, it's responsibilities. 1, wanting to just go home and take a nap. 0.
Yep.
But who's this entering from the north? It's King Philip IV
Oh,
of
yep, here he
France,
comes.
and he's not
Excuse me.
happy, folks. In fact, Boniface
Je suis the king of France, you minuscule plebeian. Excuse for a ruler.
and Philip feuded privately and publicly for years. At one point, Boniface wrote him a letter that literally opens with "Listen, son," which is the respectful papal
Jikazo, did you just heckin' say about me, you little puta? I'll have you know I graduated top of my class in the Papal Army, and I've been involved in numerous secret raids on the Saracens and
way to say, "Alright, looky here, dumbass, you're way out of your league, and if you don't shape up real soon, I'm gonna excommunicate your sinful ass so hard you'll wish I only imprisoned and maybe murdered you." So anyway, Philip IV
Yeah, I've heard worse. Au revoir, paysan.
carried on exactly as he had
Paysan.
before, and when Boniface
Alright, that does it. That'll be one eternal damnation. Extra scorpions with the side of the Barbie Girl theme song on repeat forever.
prepared an order
Oh,
of
Jesus
excommunication
Christ.
against the king, he sent French thugs to assault him,
Owie! Ooh! Ow! My bones!
the Pope, in his own hometown, and he died within 2 weeks. Philip ordered a hit on the Pope. The
He's fucking mafia, dude.
gall! Pope
That's
murder and
fucking
Pope
metal
murderer
as
Philip
fuck.
then manipulated the papal conclave to elect Clement V as the new pro-France Pope. At the end of the second period, that's French king who's way outside of their lane 1, murder Pope 0. And speaking of, that brings us to our sponsor for today's video, Pope 0. Same divine taste, 0 calories. Now back to the fight. It's after Clement steps into the Pope fight that things get even weirder. Philip, still high on his victory and ballsier than ever, decided to test his luck and yoinked the entire papacy itself out of Rome, out of Italy even, and moved it into Avignon, France. Starting with Clement, the Catholic Church operated in France under the authority of the French king for 68 years. Mind you, that whole time, the literal papal states were popeless. After almost one metric human
Guys, I really don't feel good about what we're doing here. This isn't priestly at all.
lifetime of lavish living in the pocket of the French crown, Pope Urban V and his successor Gregory XI fought bitterly against the College of Cardinals to restore the papacy to Rome. The Cardinals at this
Oh, boo-hoo. Where's the fun in that? Now excuses, it's time for our 4-hour dinner.
point had nicely settled into eating 10-course meals while everyone else in Europe was actively dying of plague. Because that's a thing now, not that they would have known that, being cooped up in the purpose-built palace of Avignon all century. But anyway, that's okay now because Gregory moved the papacy back to Rome, and even though it's definitely worse for wear after 70 years of functionally no government, the church set about
After 70 years of neglect and only 30 years since the plague first hit, Rome was at its lowest population since the Punic Wars. It was really only after the papacy came back and the myriad restoration projects started happening that Rome regained its grandeur and began to take the artful Renaissance form that we see
restoration
today.
projects to fix stuff. Now that was all well and good, but Gregory's successor Urban VI turned out to be, well,
A stupid
kind
idiot?
of insane.
Oh.
As soon as he became Pope,
We're going to play a fun game, and it's called Agree With Me or Rot in Prison. It's my favorite game. It's a great game.
he started locking up his opponents. You know, like a fascist.
Yeah.
This was...
I mean, what kings kind of are. They're undisputed leaders of a country and have full power. Sacre bleu! Un fasciste!
awkward because most of the cardinals were still French, so the obvious strategy for the half of the church leadership that didn't like Urban for obvious reasons was just to run off to France and elect Clement VII as their pope. Their argument was that the new Roman popes were an illegitimate offshoot of their rightful Avignon line. The Roman cardinals
I'm the real
believed
pope.
that
Don't listen to
independent
I'm
of
the real
Urban
pope.
VI's personal qualities, he was the rightfully selected pope. And at the end of round 4, our score is Real Pope 1, Faux Pope 1, but in French. So we've had popes retire to make way for new popes, we've had former popes contesting with current popes, we've even had murder popes and pope murderers, but now Christianity saw two entirely separate papacies in Italy and France, each believing that the other was a one-stop shop for every lawless heretic on earth. At this point, St. Peter's probably thinking, guys, what the hell? But Jesus is just omnisciently snacking on popcorn, loving every single minute of the drama. This, ladies and gentlemen, is no ordinary pope fight. No, no, no. This was a full-on Pope war.
Dun, dun,
Two
dun.
entire papacies
No, you.
competed for nearly
No,
40
reversed.
years, branding the other as anti-popes. Needless to say,
Who,
it
this is
didn't
what?
reflect
What?
especially
Ha!
well
Got
on
him.
the church when a pope is condemned as a heretic by a different pope. This went on for a
Oh yeah, well, your cassock is so last century. Mon Dieu, takes that back.
while, and neither side budged, as you can imagine, but finally, cardinals from both sides met in an attempt to reconcile and succeeded in electing another
What?
anti-pope.
Oh yeah, they elected the third pope because they're like both of the current popes are like, get rid of the current popes, we'll just elect a completely new one. And yeah.
Lost count of the rounds of this pope fight a while ago, but this is honestly getting ridiculous. The mess was mercifully concluded at the 4-year-long Council of Constance, where the second anti-pope was deposed, the Avignon anti-pope had his claim dismissed, the Roman actual pope resigned, and a new pope, Martin V, was elected by the combined council, and now we're done. Well, there were a few anti-popes tooling around for another couple decades,
Oh,
but
goddammit.
nobody cared and it wasn't a problem.
Oh,
As far
okay.
as European
Let's all be friends and leave the pope fights behind us, yeah?
Christians were
Oh, there's 2
concerned,
minutes
the
left,
seat
there's
of the
another
church
pope
was
fight.
permanently re-established in Rome, and all of the popes between then and 2013 served for life, the way
Oh.
God intended. That was the year Benedict XVI became the first pope in almost 600 years to voluntarily resign, and thankfully he did so without an accompanying pope fight. And let's take one last look at the scoreboard, folks. At the end of the 5th and final round for the evening, it's lasting dignity of the medieval Catholic Church, -7, that's 1 for each succession crisis, and meme capacity of the medieval Catholic Church, maximal. Whew,
Nice.
that's gotta hurt. All told, though the fighting did stop, papal mischief in general continued in various forms for another century. Between the moral depravity of the Borgia Pope Alexander VI, the Medici murder conspiracy abetting Pope Sixtus IV, and a lot of indulgences being sold to finance the Renaissance reconstruction of Rome serving as the
Though it took a century to finish St. Peter's, the rest of Europe knew what was
final
up.
nail
Yeah.
in a solid gold coffin 5 centuries in the making, it may be little surprise that Martin Luther famously said, quote, "Screw this, screw the church, I'll do it myself, don't at me." Harsh words. But still, as far as the complete abandonment of spiritual responsibility for material luxuries goes, you just can't beat a good Pope fight. Finally, and this is basically irrelevant, but it is deeply important to me that you're aware Pope Francis has a rock album. Yes, the Pope has a rock album. Other Pope Zero, Pope Francis Infinity. Play it!
Alright, that was History Summarized Pope Fights. This was enjoyable. I have nothing here to add on at the end. OSP always does a great job with their videos. I hope you guys enjoyed. I certainly did. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.